I do have to wonder a little bit though, because like obviously they want to show the scope of the game. That much is made apparent. But because of that, there's a lot of like running or a lot of like moving between areas. It may not necessarily be a bad thing, but I guess compared to like a more tighter linear experience, I had to wonder if it's the right decision making. And like you can see that the world's quite expansive, right? But at the same time, the game is still largely mission based. And the missions are using segments of the world at a time. Also, it being Bandai Namco, I usually have pretty low expectations when it comes to enemy variety. I think the last game that I really complained a lot about enemy variety was the first God of War 2018. But Bandai Namco is kind of notorious for like enemy reskins and stuff like that. I did like a really tiny amount of farming off stream in PoE too, but like, I don't know, man. I kind of like looked up Coolamex mechanics, and Coolamex seems like a very rippy boss. If you fight him at full power.
Oh, 宝箱があるぞ。
I can craft a capitator now. Yeah, I understand like the main things to look out for with Coolamex. The ice swipes, the crystal that tethers to you, his triple beam. Does game have a good feel or a janky one? The game feels good and polished, but they were very deliberate with their choice of using abilities in this game. It's not smooth transitioning from one attack to the next, and you run out of stamina quickly. And so if you like overcommit, you're kind of like left defenseless. And again, on this normal difficulty, that's not an issue. But if you're planning on playing like very hard and on death game mode, that could be a very big issue if you're playing like, you know, heavier weapons and stuff like that. It looks like a deliberate design choice. Also, I just noticed this, but my mana does not replenish on its own. It only replenishes at rest sites or if I use potions. And there's a finite amount of potions you could bring with you, so... I'm guessing later there's probably gear that allows you to restore... mana along the way. In the anime, if I remember, you cannot cancel a sword skill midway. Yeah. And it's not like time freezes when you use like a sword skill or when you use a combination attack or some shit like that. You just restored some for hitting the enemies? Oh, maybe that's how you do it then. Just hitting enemies restores it. It doesn't like auto replenish out of combat though. That's what I'm saying though. Like it's I think it's all part of that deliberate combat feel of like being a bit more grounded. You know, you are not Kirito fucking flying around, dual wielding, animation canceling everything. Yeah, just not that guy. I guess that's supposed to be the central column that leads up to the next floor. What are you doing up there, boar?
これで片付いたな。
大したことはないよ。
終わったな。
Oh, we're headed to that thing. I was honestly expecting the sledgehammer to be significantly heftier. A lot slower than this. Which means that the great axe is faster than this, which is actually pretty decent. Faster than I thought they would be. Yeah, how do I get up here? I guess just follow the road. They kind of make it a point early in the game that if you follow the road, it'll always lead you to your objective.
あれくらいならいい練習台だな。
Thank you, Dad. Oh.
終わったな。
Yeah, I don't like that though. Like, the game is very obviously mission based, and so like within a quest they only use sections of the map, and so I don't like that there's like an out of bounds. Like if I wanted to free roam, I wish I could free roam, but at the end, it's not actually an open world game. Unless it opens up later. Or unless there is a free roam mode. Maybe it's this way only because I'm in a mission. I have no idea. I have to figure out how to get to the light beam, but I can't swim. You drown in this game.
あそこ宝箱があるね。
エアタイプ。一気に行く。
レアだよ。
勝った。
I follow the road. Feels like it'll lead me out. Do I have to go back? Do your teammates respawn? I think so. Can you run in and out of the town, or are you using a teleporter every time? You have to teleport into the town.
格下だね。
Yeah, that's a dead end. But then that's a cliffside that I can't scale. So I guess I have to backtrack to get to the next point. Yeah, you can see, by the way, what I was talking about before. How the details kind of like load in with distance. That's to make the game run a little bit better, but the game's running at like 60 FPS now, which is actually a little bit worrisome. The game performance when I was in the cave area was good, but that's because it was a much smaller area. If the game is trying to load the entirety of the first floor, that's like concerning for people with lesser hardware and systems. I don't know. Maybe someone else in chat's also playing the demo and they can speak to how the game's holding up on lower hardware. How do I get over there though? I can't scale this. I gotta find some way like Josh from Let's Game It Out to just like fucking like break things and like Skyrim my way up places where I shouldn't be. Yeah. Well, you know, things don't load. Things don't load if they're not meant to load. Because we saw this earlier because we saw a bug with the town gate. And we were able to see past the town gate. And then beyond the town gate is just nothing. It's just like giant barren land as if a meteor had landed on the town and just evaporated everything. I was like, oh. So I'm sure if you could see above the second floor, there'd be nothing up there. Probably. How long have you been playing? Almost 3 hours? No, I'm kind of stuck at a part right now. We have to get over there. If we take this path, we hit a quest boundary. Kind of questionable. There's good parts about the game for sure. I know people meme a lot about the entire like 2 floors of DLC each time, but I don't know how I feel about the idea that 50 DLCs 2 floors at a time. Yeah, you see, if I just take the path, it's outside the quest boundary. I'm actually not allowed to keep going this way. And so there is another intended route to get to the destination that is not following the road. The issue is all this stuff is not scalable because there's no climbing in this game and the walls are too tall. So where the hell was the way to get there? We'll have to figure this out. Find the cave. This is our objective. Oh, you know what? I probably have to go all... Oh, yeah. I see it. Is it a single player game or online? Single player. I don't know a whole lot about dot hack. I know that dot hack was sword art before sword art was sword art, but like I don't think it was ever like super popular dot hack. I just remember it being on Toonami from time to time, but I never really watched it that much. Yeah, we go all the way back across the river and then south. That kind of quest boundary limitation though is annoying, especially when I saw an enemy on the other side. That also kind of peeved me a little bit. I hit a boundary where the game's like, oh, you're outside the quest boundary. And it's like I can clearly see an enemy over there.
これで片付いたな。
Okay, if we keep going this way, I think it'll lead to where we need to go.
あれくらいならいい練習台だな。一匹。からでも。よし、倒した。少し。やったぞ。おっ。
A little disappointed about the graphical quality. It's the thing that I talked about before. I mean, graphics wise for an anime game, it's not bad, but like the thing is, if you've played something like, let's say Arknight's Enfield, for example, you might be expecting higher quality. That's what I was saying. Like at this point, the best graphics come from gacha games. In the anime style, the best graphics that you will ever find in video gaming don't come from AAA titles. They don't come from console games. They don't come from PC-only games. They come from mobile games. Which is crazy, because we used to make fun of mobile games back in the day for being like, you know, oh, these are just 2D side-scrollers, shit graphics, only meant to be played on phones. But nowadays, the literal best graphics in anime-styled games come from anime, from gacha. Is this playable? It's a demo. It's quite a hefty demo, though. Like, I'm not even going around and like looting all the chests and everything. I'm actually just trying to beeline it to the destinations, because since I plan on playing on death game mode when the game comes out, my progress in this demo won't carry over. They have potential to do all the floors. It's very obvious that they just want to do scope. Like, they want to be like, hey, Aincrad was like a big world, and the anime does not portray that at all. This portrays it. This is like supposed to give you the idea that, holy shit, Aincrad was actually a really big place. And it's like, oh, they could fit an entire game in just the first 2 floors. But then Aincrad was also like a triangle, right? The biggest floors were the first floors, and they gradually got smaller as you moved up. Kind of frustrating. Something looks better in mobile and runs smooth, and yet a PC game can't even run 60 FPS. Dude, I don't know what Enfield did. Enfield is actual black magic. Enfield's graphics are gorgeous, and it runs like butter. I have no idea how they achieved that. Enfield's graphical fidelity needs to be studied. Whether you can pursue any life pursuit. Like the anime, if you want to be a blacksmith, you focus on blacksmithing. I talked about it before, but I swear to God, Mabinogi as a game, if you were to release something similar to that today, it would not survive as a game. Mabinogi is just a fascinating game of its time, a life simulator. Though they did later change it to be more combat focused later on. But that was like a game where it was like, here, you jump in a world, do whatever you want.
Oh,
the problem is your modern MMO gamer kind of drools at the keyboard and kind of needs direction. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of like a not so great game for them. I'm just saying, if you drop a modern MMO player into Mabinogi, they would quit it within like an hour or less.
いたね。シュルーマンだ。
これで片付いたな。
Not so far. I enjoy it, but you have to be very patient with it. You have to play as this character, but that's because the character creator doesn't appear, I think, until after you reach the event where everyone gets locked into the game, which means the first several hours you're playing as John online, and only after you reach the events of the start of the game do you actually get to play as your character, or the character, like go through the character creator and everything. Because, you know, at that point it's like, oh, you know, now the character becomes what they truly look like in real life, and so they have you play as like generic character until then. That's kind of weird. What is this? But the pacing is quite slow, for sure. Oh, now we can just follow the road. That's good, though. Definitely don't look at it in the same way as the previous Sword Art Online games. It just feels like an adventure JRPG at its crux. Oh, it's the northern road. The bottom road led to a treasure chest. Yeah, it's almost like the world aspect of the game. Just look at it as like fan service to learn more about Sword Art's world that they never fleshed out in the anime. And that's how I see it. I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, this is like this feels like if they actually spent way more time like going over what happens on the first floor and stuff like that. Well, that's cool. Just started the game using my 8-bit Duke controller. Dude, 8-bit Duke controllers are the best. They mog the ever-living hell out of first-party controllers. Just curious how they're going to shape the story when the entire main story is technically solved. Yeah, what do you mean by that? It's also kind of weird because like we basically only see like these pretty basic enemies, right? And some of them have cool designs, right? Like the Kobold Lord that we fought had a great design. But like if you look at it within the context of the first two floors, I can't really do that many crazy things with it. Yeah, but like at that point, does that even make any sense? Having high level or high floor monsters appearing in lower floors? That's odd. You technically already know floor 1 boss is killed fairly quickly and the game is just the first 2 floors, right? Right, but like consider this. It's been like 3 hours and we're not even at the beginning of the game's launch yet. Like we're still in the beta of the story. Like we're still nowhere near the event of like even getting trapped in the game yet. These characters are talking like oh yeah, I gotta log out later and go to school and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's significantly more drawn out. Oh, this pathway. How do they progress the floors? To my understanding, you have to travel up those towers. On every floor, there's a tower that connects it to the next floor. So for the first floor, that tower would be the tower that leads to the second floor. Expand. Oh. I don't know. I don't know how closely it's going to follow the narrative of the anime. They do bring up Kirito from time to time already. Like they mentioned how like, oh, we're doing this really hard quest. Only a few characters, or only a few strong players have finished this quest already. And obviously that's like alluding to Kirito and other leading players. Strictly speaking, I have no idea how canonical it is. Paralysis is kind of intense. That's the end of our adventure. I was not expecting paralysis to completely disable everything. You can't heal when you're downed. You can't do anything. Once the paralysis lands, you're basically just fucking out of commission for like 10 seconds, and the enemies still keep beating you up. You good, Iori? Yeah, they'll hash that out in the full release, I'm sure. I'm actually shocked that I died though. I wasn't expecting paralysis to be as intense as it was. That is the most debilitating paralysis I think I've ever seen. Oh, what is that ability? Oh, not enough. Do companions perma die from the... No, I don't think so. Because I think that would kill the narrative of the storyline if your companions permanently died. Well, guys, using my beater knowledge, I'll now be extra wary of paralysis. Wait, if it killed me in normal mode, it would absolutely ass blast me in very hard mode. There's 2 difficulties above this. Yeah, as far as like anime styled game graphics goes, this is pretty good when I compare it to other console JP RPGs. But like then you compare it to gacha games and then you're like, ooh. Like, it's not bad. It's definitely like a modern JRPG.
What? Terminal だ。お、もうすぐゴールだぞ。
ほら、ゴールが見えてきたよ。
But then it's like funny as well too. Like if you look at like, the main menu, it's like this main menu. You know how like you look at a mobile game or a gacha game, and then you look at the menu, and then you can just immediately think to yourself, oh, that's a gacha game menu. That's a mobile game UI. And then like this kind of UI design, it's like, oh yeah, this is a regular RPG. Like nothing about this screams mobile game to me. But then when we play like a gacha game, it's like, oh, here's a menu with the different categories and the squares and shit like that. You know what I mean? The UI design's kind of interesting.
Karuの言った通りだな。探索の勘どころもいいし、ソロでやれてるわけだ。
ともかくこれで青い雫の洞窟を探すっていう最初の目的は達成だね。
で、どうする？このまま攻略しちゃうか？
この先はきっと厳しくなるし、一旦ホームに
Is
戻
that
ら
like
ない？
is this like an anime
体勢を
Zelda?
整えた方がいい。
Man, no one compares shit to Zelda. Just ask if it's a Genshin clone.
それでいいよな。
I never played Genshin or gacha games or whatever they're called. Yeah, it's fair enough. No, it's nothing like Breath of the Wild. I don't even think that this game is open world.
力を貸してくれて助かった。
こちらこそ。まだ少ししか一緒に戦ってないけど、楽しかったよ。君も楽しめた？
Nodders.
それは良かった。しばらく準備するでしょ？
ああ、いろいろとな。
僕はちょっとだけ落ちるから、終わったらメッセージ投げといて。
Yeah, Dagger was really cool. So far, the most enjoyable one to me though is the rapier. It's fast, it's
また後でな。
agile, it has a counter
ま
skill.
た。
じゃ俺も準備してくる
I'll
な。
try Great Sword next. Every mission I'm switching to a different weapon to try it out. Is there a ranged weapon? Not for you. Sprint, speed, slash damage, money acquired.
お祭りマンボウ。
Okay, we'll do Great Sword next. Dexterity weapon. Bastard Sword. Increases sword skill damage temporarily after a successful parry.
Oh, 地上の人かい。
Upgrade.
今日はどうする？
マンボウ。
And then we synthesize stats. Slash damage. Like each take all 4 of them.
Mambo.
And then I might take this with a very simple concept. You just put the stats of things together. Let's be real, sprint speed is the best stat. This is not PoE. Combo SP? I mean, it seems simple enough. Whatever stats, you just could put together the best stats of your items together into one. I looked at it and I was like, is there gonna be some RNG bullshit in this? And shockingly, there kind of wasn't. Surprise, surprise. Okay, now great
ま
sword.
たおいで。
30 flat. You look at that as a PoE player and you're like, wait a second. 30 flat. This guy's fucking spooned.
お、いい顔してんな。準備はバッチリってとこか？俺もあのカルと一緒だと思うと改めて気合が入る。それじゃあカルにメッセージ出してと。さあ、行こうか。
I didn't think about it time, but I wonder why they had us fight Ilfang in the prologue. Who was Ilfang in the anime again? It's not the floor 1 boss, was it? Oh. Maybe this isn't canon to the anime then.
さっきメッセージ出したんだが。
うん。早く用事が済んじゃって。さあ、行こう。
Dungeons? Random dungeons? Dungeons function as mazes, their corridors shifting each time you start a quest. While exploring each corridor will allow you to obtain items from chests, this can be quite risky. Deciding whether to prioritize exploration or reach the next safe area is paramount in a dungeon. However, you cannot teleport in safe areas, you can only head back to town. A dungeon's map is gradually revealed as you make your way through its winding corridors. Waypoints are not displayed in dungeons, so it's crucial to keep track of where you've been and what ground you have yet to cover. That's kind of cool.
おい、ここって高難易度なんだろ？もうちょっと慎重に。
そう？これくらいなら平気だよ。
平気って。
あ、でも
This
そう
is
だ
where
よ
we
ね。
came from? Yeah, it is.
やっぱり先行は
Good eye, Asuna.
君たちに任せようかな。僕はできるだけ後ろからサポートする。
お、わかった。行こうぜ。
Wait, can I ford this? Or do I drown? Okay.
せい、ほっはっ、
とりゃ。
えっ、せい、はっ、ほっ。
Okay. Oh, what's my sword skill? That's an X slash. Okay. So far, these are less threatening than the monsters outside.
これで片付いたな。
What the? Good night, Wilder. Which way am I going?
いる。ダイヤウルフだ。
This way leads to treasure.
終わったな。
いいね。見て、宝箱だ。
I don't know if these are actually randomly generated, or if it just uses the same tile set each time and just restocks the loot and randomizes the monsters that spawn.
宝箱があるぞ。
Yeah, pretty good graphics. The ivy. Oh, you just cut through it. Okay.
大丈夫。僕らやれるよ。
これで片付いたな。
Holy crap, it takes me 5 hours to get up when knocked down.
勝った。
Okay.
俺たちなら余裕
I was under the assumption that the enemies at the start of the dungeon would be like, okay, well these are low level enemies, and as you get deeper into the dungeon, maybe it does higher level enemies.
タイプか
It's very weird though, because the enemies outside the dungeon were much
俺で片付いたな
tougher than the ones inside the dungeon. Yeah, I'm also pretty surprised by how long the demo is. As I was doing the tutorial, I was thinking to myself, oh, this will probably end when you get to the Town of Beginnings area with the event, the incident that like locks everyone in the game. But it feels like we're like far from that event still. Yeah, I assume that everything in the that we're playing right now, being the beta of the events before Sword Art Online, is all prologue technically. What was the point of that? I just wasted my one flame bomb. That's strange, all monsters only take one hit. It is weird that these enemies are dying in one hit, when all the monsters that we fought before were much sturdier. Exit? I guess that's the way. It's better than Code Vein 2. Everything is better than Code Vein 2. You could show me a literal dog turd on a plate and I would say that it's better than Code Vein 2. The music has been surprisingly very good. I wasn't expecting to hear like a proper soundtrack while just exploring shit. I was kind of expecting like much bigger swaths of like silence, of like no music and just like ho ho. After we do this demo, are there any other? Have you guys played any other demos in the next fest yet? There should be a lot of them, I'm assuming. I know Onimusha demo is only 30 minutes long, so that'll be a fast one. Oh, we made it. Wait.
They
have a logout button. No, I think it was blanked out. Wait, after you get to the event, they probably like delete the logout button actually. Baby cub.
レアだよ。
They should make a spectacle and play a whole animation for the logout button delete. Yeah. Aura forming. I cleared the demo now. I'm just trying to reach level 12 max level for the demo. Aren't you concerned that doing that is gonna lessen the experience of the full game when it comes out? And you'll be over leveled, etc. Wait, can you even change the difficulty along the way? Oh, you can. Monsters level with you, only up to a certain point though, in a given area. Like a little boar is not going to level up with you all the way to level 99. Does progress carry over to the full game? Yes, unless you plan on playing on death game mode. If you're playing on death game mode, you can't carry over progress. But otherwise, yeah, everything carries over.
あった。セーフティーエリアだ。
Aren't we playing a guy who's playing a beta, so wouldn't he lose his progress going to the main game? Excellent question. I have no idea. You would think that there would be a beta wipe. Yeah, maybe your progress in the beta carries over to the full game in the context of the story. Just imagine how mad people would be in a game like that.
噂通りとんでもない強さだな。2人分の活躍どころか1人でも攻略できたんじゃないか。どうした？
嫌じゃない。
嫌って何が？
We already know from the trailer though that these players from the beta are present at the town square in the town of beginnings, because that's when Iori becomes like the actual Iori. That's probably where you create your character.
実はちょっと練習したくて。
その腕ならこんな場所練習になんないだろう。
ああ、そっちじゃなくて、なんというか共闘の練習というか。
共闘？
そう、兄貴とのね。
What do you think about the demo so far? Pretty good. There's a few gripes that I have that are pretty minor, but overall it's actually quite solid.
初心者ってその兄貴が？
うん。ゲームは全然やらないんだ。でもこのゲームだけはどうしても好きになってほしくて。だから序盤から初心者でも楽しめるようにしたいなって。
But yeah, for all intents and purposes, I don't really think that you should look at it as a Sword Art Online game. Like, yeah, sure, the setting fine, whatever, but it definitely does not play like any Sword Art Online game that I've played in the past. It just plays to me like a typical JRPG with action combat.
全部兄貴のためってわけだ。でもさ、兄貴に好きになってほしいなら、あんたも目いっぱい楽しむべきだと思うぜ。
僕が？
ああ、遠慮せずに楽しむのが一番だよ。
ありがとう。ベータテストが終わる前にそう言ってもらえてよかった。
Now is not the time to log out. Oh, it's a cosmetic logout button. Like that's like okay, that's kind of funny.
あれくらいならいい練習台だな。
Yeah, this dungeon is really weird. I don't know how I feel about this. That's some like balancing slash scaling problem or problematic design. Like these enemies dying in one shot makes no sense. We literally were just outside this dungeon where enemies actually like had a health pool. That's weird.
これで片付いたな。
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that before, that like you really shouldn't expect you shouldn't expect normal mode to be normal mode. Normal mode is easy mode, hard mode is normal mode, and very hard mode is hard mode. It's one of those types of games where like they don't want casual people to feel bad that they're playing on easy mode, I guess. And that's really normal in game design. You know, a lot of games do that on purpose. They make the normal mode the easy mode, and they do that because like people who play video games don't want to settle for easy mode, but they also might not be good enough for anything higher than that sometimes. It's like, it's a real thing in game design.
おっとスパイダー系か。
There's a nice difficulty leap though, going from like actual mobs to bosses sometimes. But I would like it if the regular enemies were a little bit more dangerous. That being said, I heard that people who played the playtest kind of ran into that problem where like the regular mobs were so dangerous, and because the aggro range is so far, they were running into this problem that they would either be dying or they would have no resources by the time they made it to the boss of an area. So it's possible that they've tuned down everything since then. Unless those guys were like playing on very hard or something. So if you die, is your character deleted? If you play on death game mode, it is, yeah. What's the orange rarity item you keep getting? I'm not sure. It doesn't really show their rarity here. I'm just picking up everything as I go along. Oh, it's money. Yeah, colons. They deal in colons. Yeah, the demo is locked to normal mode. Hard and very hard are not available until the game releases. But when the game releases, it looks like you can freely change the difficulty of the game at the town. So like if you play on normal mode in the demo, when the game releases, you can just set it to very hard in town. Yeah, I wish they didn't do that too. I would have liked to have had access to the higher difficulties. Even in the demo. First of all, it kind of gives me like this false expectation about the game. Like I'm going around killing things in one hit. And it's like, oh, is like the full game gonna be like this? And like obviously not. If you play on very hard mode, they probably will have like a much bigger health pool and do a lot more damage. But it's definitely not like the greatest look for someone who's looking for like slightly more of a challenge. It's like you should expect a little bit of a challenge in like a generic JRPG, which is more or less what this game's trying to be. It seems like the whole plot is that the game takes place in the beta only. No, the prologue takes place in the beta. I think the entirety of the prologue is the beta from the story. When you actually, like when the game actually releases, I think that's when it starts taking place from the events of the anime. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't expecting the game to be linear either. I thought it was going to be open world, but it's linear stages per quest. That was kind of surprising to me. Is the prologue 8 hours long? It's a long prologue. I thought that the prologue was going to be 30 minutes in the beta and like end with like, I don't know, fucking seeing Kirito or a farm or some shit like that. But it's been 4 hours in the prologue. So far. And that's me like skipping picking up all the important loot chests. That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, yeah, they could probably make a 40, 50, 60 hour game in just the first 2 floors if it's dragged out like this.
セーフティーエリアだ。助かったな。
セーフティーエリアだ。ここら辺で休んでいく？
Does my gear in progress get wiped? As long as you're not planning on playing on death game mode, it won't get wiped. Yeah, the wall design looks good. This is the, like I said, this is the stuff that they could never capture in the anime, because in the anime they just like rush to the higher floors and everything. This feels like proper world building. I had some concerns regarding the performance of the game. In certain areas, the performance fucking nosedives. You can see my FPS is 120 right now, so environments like this, the game runs really well. But like in the outside area, in like the more like open world-ish aspect, like part of the game map, my performance fucking tanked, and I'm on a 4090. So that's a little alarming for the non-instance larger area. I will say though, the game does not run hot. When I play a really poorly optimized game, like a really poorly one, I'll know because my room turns into a fucking sauna. But my room is pretty cool right now, so at least it's not fucking annihilating my computer. That's a pretty good sign. Honestly, death mode should start after the beta. That's true. If we're talking about like lore and everything, or like, you know, being canon and similar to the story, it should feel like you should be able to choose whether or not to go into death game mode after the town square event. That would make way more sense. Okay, blinded doesn't seem like a bad effect. I feel like I could live with blinded as an effect.
Nice game.
Nice a game.
何？
あ、ごめん、つい無意識で。
どういう意味なんだ？
意味はよくわからない。
え？
最初にやったのは兄貴なんだ。小学生の頃、2人でヒーローごっこをやってた時、悪者をやっつけたぞって急に兄貴が僕にやってきてさ、意味わかんないけど楽しくて、それ以来 僕らの間でやったぜって伝えるサインになった。
The bag
で
placed on the
今で
rat.
も
A
すごく楽
giant
しい
rat
と無意識にやっ
testicles.
ちゃうんだ。でも最近は昔みたいに兄貴と遊べなくなっちゃって、またあの頃みたいに一緒に楽しめたらって思うんだけど、僕にはゲームしかないから。
それで好きになってほしいのか。
アインクラッドは僕が求めてた場所なんだ。このリアルな世界なら。
Oh, they keep talking about their brother. I wonder if their brother's like an important character.
楽しんでもらえるといいな。
It's Cliff for sure. Hey, that'd be pretty fun. Cliff's younger brother. That's kind of cool. This feels like a proper dungeon and everything. Multiple bosses and everything. You go deeper and deeper into the dungeon. It's a nice design. Instead of just like one single narrow corridor.
あそこがゴールみたいだ。
もうすぐゴールみたいだね。
Oh, we made it to the end. Get off the orb.
This ここが終点だな。よし、探索終了。
楽しかった？
ああ、最高にな。
よかった。
You get a lot of loot. Very plentiful loot. I thought that the two-handed weapons would be way more lumbering than they actually are, but they're actually way more agile than I thought.
おかえり、どうだった？
攻略完了だ。
本当か？
マッピング情報、得られるアイテム、敵のリストいっぱいあるよ。
せめていくつか情報を取れればくらいに思ってたけど、まさか3人で攻略しちまうとはな。
今回はカルに助けられた。あの剣さばきを見たらアルゴもびっくりするぜ。でかいクマが2体もいたのに余裕だったからな。
はあ、何がそこまでお前を強くさせるんだ？
単純に誰にも負けないくらいゲームが好きってことかな。
ほう。
俺も本気でやってきたつもりだったが甘いと思わされた。
いや、そんなことないよ。最初は初心者だと思ったけど全然違った。リアルな恐怖を感じるこの世界で強敵でも恐れず戦いを楽しむんだから。いおりはその見た目と一緒で強い心を持ってるんだね。
まあリアルで化け物に襲われたら逃げるだろうけどな。
よかったらフレンド登録してもらえないかな。今回2人と冒険したら楽しくて初めて仲間に出会えたと思えた。だからまた一緒に遊びたいなって。
Friend.
あんたにそう言ってもらえるなんて光栄だ。ぜひフレンドになってくれ。
ありがとう。いつでも呼んでよ。
ベータテストを終了しました。
Oh, the beta is
ご協力いただいた
over.
テスターの皆様、ありがとうございます。
It's very on the nose if this is where the beta ends too.
公式発表をお待ちください。
でも すぐに正式サービスが始まるよ。
This feels very
そっ
meta.
か
Launch day is right around the
そうだよ
corner.
な
The beta's over.
正式版の方がいろいろパワーアップすんのかな。プレイヤーもたくさん増えるし、これ以上すごくなったら、
お祭りマンボウ。
あー想像するだけで高まる。
きっとその想像を超えてくれるよ。
ミシシ攻略情報まとめとかないとな。
みんな正式サービス始まったらまた会おうな。
お前らには期待してるよ。
兄貴も連れてくるね。
I'll bring my brother with me
みんな
too.
で楽しもうぜ。
あ
Man, you know what would be cooler if Cal's brother is like the fucking founder of Laughing Coffin or something like that. And it's like, then it becomes like this whole moral dilemma.
また来るからな。アインクラッド。